now entering the Horror Sanctum.
Hello, and welcome back to the Horror Sanctum podcast. I'm Jay with John and Kellen. 2025 has been a pretty solid year for horror so far. I actually almost texted you guys the other night. I'm like, here's my top three horror movies of 2025. But then when I really started, because you don't realize some came out this year, like Companion. I forgot that came out this year. There's a lot. There's some good ones in there. There's movies that we thought that would be great and good, and they were. There were movies that we thought would be kind of bad, and they were. There are also a few movies that were toss-ups. They could be good, they could be bad. One of those 50-50 films was Until Dawn, based on the popular video game. I think it's PlayStation exclusive. Think Cabin in the Woods meets Happy Death Day. Like, I don't know if we could describe it any better than that. We'll find out later. But as soon as I've watched it twice now. And as soon as I watched it, I'm like, this feels like Cabin in the Woods without the gambling. And it feels like Happy Death Day without the birthday. Anyways, if you're unfamiliar, it is available to rent and own, I believe. So there are going to be spoilers because that's what we do best. Synopsis is 1 year after her sister disappeared, Clover, dumb name, and her friends head to a remote valley where she vanished to search for answers. Exploring an abandoned visitor center, they soon encounter a masked killer who murders them one by one. However, when they mysteriously wake up at the beginning of the same night, they're forced to relive the terror over and over and over, 13 overs again. So, did you guys play the video game at all? I know what it looked like, which is behind Kellen and I. Like, I had seen it in passing. I couldn't even tell you what it was about. So went into this one essentially blind. I understood the Groundhog Day kind of thing. Like, they're over and over and over again. The previews these days like to show you the entire film, or they show you the good parts. I can't tell you how many times I actually watched the trailer, but I remember there only being the masked killer, which is the first killer we get. However, that is not their only challenge. So, similar to Cabin in the Woods, and again, spoilers, because I'm going to dig into exactly what was going on here as best as I can explain it and how I understood it. First of all, Peter Stormare, what a great villain. He always plays a great villain. He was the devil or Satan in Constantine. He was in Prison Break. He's been a ton of things. He's such a great villain. I guess the town itself somehow got, they were a mining town. They dug too deep, ran across something they shouldn't have, took over the town. It somehow involves this hourglass. And as I'm saying this, I'm kind of thinking, I don't quite know the dynamics or the lore of all this. And I don't know if you guys do either, but playing the game may have helped out in that retrospect. But anyways, what we know is eventually learn is this town has sunken in, and Peter's character is a psychiatrist that's studying fear, I guess. So he has people locked up that were in the town, and they slowly become creatures. And what confused me, and then after I watched it again and like really focused and paid attention, so we see a VHS tape. They play it. The kids find it. They play it. And I thought it was funny because it was a porn at first, wasn't it? It was like a sex tape. And like, this is really going to help us tonight, blah, blah, blah. So he takes it out, puts another tape in, and it's Peter's character, the psychologist, and he has someone in a room with a creature, or it's a dead body. It's really hard to tell, right? Anyways, the guy ends up turning into a Wendigo. He explains he turns into a Wendigo. I'm like, what the fuck did he turn into a Wendigo? Where did that come from? Right. And again, this is towards the end of the movie. So we already have other things we've seen. And that was the most confusing part to me, is how the people turned in or transitioned to these creatures. Right. So the thing of the game is you survive until dawn, or you become a part of everything that's going on. So that's what happened. So this guy was trapped. He was hungry, which is a feature of the Wendigo. So he ends up turning into a Wendigo. There's zombies. My favorite creature you see for like a half second, there's a giant monster like outside of the rain circle that they're trapped in. I wanted more of that. He was awesome. There's also when they go back and watch the tape, or excuse me, when they go back and watch the videos that the dickhead kid was recording every night, and it shows different ways they died. I like that a lot. There were two instances in that I wish we got more of. There was one where it's like a long hallway, and you just see one of those plain white masks like back in the back, and then it starts walking towards you. Then it just gets taller. I wanted more of that thing. But the most terrifying one I saw was what I assume was like a nuclear fallout. So there's one where they go into a room, you hear a siren blaring, and then the Nina girl turns around and her eyes are bleeding. I assume that's some sort of a nuclear thing. That was terrifying. Um, Nina, I didn't like her. I don't like that actress, Odessa A. Zion. I don't know why. The first time I watched it, I didn't have an issue. Watching it again, I'm like, I don't like this girl. I'm like, what else has she been? Oh, she was in the Hellraiser, the new Hellraiser. I'm like, I don't remember if I liked her in that or not, but that was my biggest knock on this flick. And this was my pick. So you can probably figure out how I feel about it. But my biggest thing was you don't like any of the characters. Like maybe Max, the ex-boyfriend, because he seems to be a little bit more rational about what's going on, but everybody gives him shit about it. Like, oh, you're just trying to get her back, blah, blah, blah. All these characters suck, right? Even the Asian girl, she was enjoyable, except she was a clairvoyant or something. I'm like, that's too much. The boyfriend they brought along, who I would have been pissed too if I was him, if you were going on this retreat with a group of friends that you weren't a part of, and then you realize this is what you're getting into. Um, I don't know. It's such a weird movie, but I think it played the part well. I think, and again, being unfamiliar with the game, watching this movie, you can kind of understand what the game was. Like you're constantly reliving this, but there's different things. Why are there different things? Well, if us three are in a cabin and there's a masked killer constantly killing us every night, we're going to eventually figure out how to stop that masked killer, right? He's a one trick pony. He's got something sharp. He's going to stab us. We know that's going to happen. We eventually figured out we win. So they keep changing it. And Peter Stormore's character at the end explains, he kept changing it because you had to be afraid, like fear factored into all of this. So I think and I'm interested, and if you're listening to this and you played the game, let us know in the comments, because you guys comment so much on these videos. But the water part, that was another part I liked a lot, where they're in the room, they're trying to figure everything out. The water wasn't running before, now it is. Okay, let's take a sip. And then they explode from the inside out from drinking this water. That was so random and so unexpected. That's what made me like it. But overall, I really like this movie. I couldn't. It's not even original, right? It's not original. One, it's based on a game, but two, I could just told you two movies it reminded me of. We could probably name about 5 or 6 more before this episode's over. But for some reason, when I watched this, I wouldn't say fell in love, but I fell in like with it quite a bit. And then I'm like, man, we should do another episode on this. It's a newer movie, blah, blah, blah. It'd give me a chance to watch it again. But I don't know. It's kind of like the Hell of a Summer episode. Like, I absolutely love that movie. Even like, again, if you know this show well enough, we pre-record. So this is pre-recorded the week that we dropped Hell of a Summer. So I'm in the process of making the reels and doing the posts. And as I'm doing this, I'm like, fuck, I want to watch that again. But there's no reason for me to want to watch that movie again already. That'd be like the 5th time in 2 months. But there's just something about this movie that I love, and I think it's very rewatchable. Even today, as my second watch, before they drink the water, it does show a water tower, and you hear a gluck, gluck, gluck. You're like, oh, so that's going to be something. You didn't think it was going to be them drinking and then exploding. But yeah, my only knocks were really character development, liking the characters. The dialogue was fine, I thought. And then just trying to wrap my head around the lore and the rules and things like that. So I don't know if it was a good ending. I don't understand why they can turn the water on for one night and then not turn it off which leads to how the movie does end. Um, so I don't know if that was a misfire or an oversight, but like you would assume every night's different to a degree because the killer is there a couple nights. So why would he not, or who, or the hourglass, or who the fuck ever was controlling these things? Why did they not turn the water off? Which led to his demise at the end. That was my biggest knocks about the film. And you guys know me, dialogue and likable characters are like two things that have to be decent for me to enjoy the movie. And even despite these characters all sucking a bag of ass, I still like this movie a lot. So, and look at me starting first. Kellen asked us to start early. I said I'll go first. It's a wild night. Let's go.
Wild it is. Um, yeah, I think this movie missed the mark for me because I feel like it should have gone more the direction of Groundhog Day. I feel like the problem here is they got too lost in the weeds. They tried to do too many things. The whole Wendigo thing makes no sense. Why are you going to include that in this? Because it plays itself as if there's some kind of temporal disturbance that's happening in this because of all the misery that happened from the town collapsing. And so all of the misery that happened to this town has created some kind of horror themed disturbance, and all of the horror things that are happening are coming from her psyche or her fears. So it's almost as if she's controlling what's happening around them, but doesn't realize that she's controlling it. He even makes Peter Stormare's character even makes the comment that the spontaneous combustion thing was a very rare thing to happen in these situations. I feel like his character was used wrong, and you talked about this is not a new concept. This has already been done. I just think they could have pulled from better concepts. I feel like Peter Stormare's character would have been better is if he had been caught in the loop as well, and now he is the one. Maybe he's found a way to reset each day so that he can study it, or it's been resetting each day and he started to study it, so he's in the background, um, watching all this happen, and they end up being pissed at him because he could have helped them figure out what's going on sooner. Instead, he's just being a silent watcher. Um, or maybe he's luring people there because he wants to study it, because they have the scene where he's at the gas station or the little market or whatever that they meet beforehand. So where this movie lost me is it did too much. I liked the concept of different ways of them dying. Some of the deaths are brutal, um, are unique, and I think they could have played into that more. And I think it would have played it more um, entertaining if they would have done it like Groundhog Day, where there wasn't a definitive end. Like I get the setup of the signatures. I think that could have been more of the previous people going insane from it happening. And you could have had it be just a long time. I think because what Groundhog Day, they said it could have been millions of times that he died. The speculation that his character has lived this day a million times. It's why he's so good at everything that he's doing in that movie. Is he's learned piano a million times. He's gone to the same piano lesson and gotten better and better. But I feel like that would have made this more fun for me if at a certain point in the movie they're kind of numb to the death, um, like driving over the cliff with Punxsutawney Phil in the truck, and he's completely, doesn't give any care to the fact that he's careening off of. I think it would have been hilarious, maybe unintentionally, if they're getting their heads smashed in, like, oh, lost Steve. I think that would have made this a little more entertaining and a little more unique. I think this is a movie that could have gone a little more into the almost horror comedy route, not so much straight horror comedy, because this is supposed to be a dark film. I imagine the game is supposed to be dark as well, but I feel like they could have added a little bit of levity, because this is an hour and 43-minute film. Has a 52% on Rotten Tomatoes, $15 million budget, which makes sense because this happens in a very small area. There's not a whole lot of set changes. There's not a whole lot of other places that they're going. They're in this town. It kind of reminded me of what's that show with the black guy from Lost?
Them or they?
Them.
They, them, or they?
They, them. One of those one word from
From. Yeah.
from.
The
So,
guy, you know what's funny? He's notorious for being in shows and they get canceled. So I'm very happy. I've only seen the first season of that one, but I enjoyed it. I'm very happy that that one didn't get canceled yet. But he was notorious for that. Like every show he was on got canceled.
yeah, and that show's kind of like horror lost. So it's funny that the two successful shows that he's really been on are both almost similar in concept. But yeah, this one, like I said, it didn't hit for me. It has moments that are enjoyable as a slasher. Like I said, I like the concept. It kind of reminded me of 13 Ghosts in the sense that there's different things killing them. There's different the water explosion scene where they drink the water and they're exploding. That's a little horror comedy esque. It was a funny concept that to kind of put you in the mindset that anything here can kill you. You can't stay still. You can't run. There's nothing you can do. You're gonna die, which would have made it more enjoyable for them to come to the conclusion on how to finish, how to win, how to the whole thing of one of you must die is so overplayed, and it didn't make sense in this of everything else going on. Oh, so the only way to escape is one person has to die of this group. Well, there's been other people that have been lost by themselves. So what were they ever supposed to do? So there's just a lot of stuff that just didn't make sense. I also agree the characters aren't really likable. If you're going to be the sister and it's a year later, I can get being dour or being kind of sour, but she could have been a little more lively, feeling like she's getting closer to her sister. Instead, she's just like,
She was a dead
we got to
fish
keep going. Yeah. So
to the point where I didn't even consider her the main character. I considered Nina the main character, the one I didn't like with the curly hair. Like,
yeah.
even though the sister was prominently more there on screen, she just didn't feel like a main character because of that. My sister's missing. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. And the selfishness of everything did kind of go along with that. Um and to not have her even find her sister. And that didn't make sense either because they made it sound like the girl that she falls on top of to kill the last night, like she call her by her sister's name, and now you're finding out that from the doctor that this is just all in her head, so she's manifested, so her sister's already been dead, or it just doesn't make sense. They didn't do a good enough job explaining everything if you're going to have that many random details as part of the plot. So that's my biggest problem with this movie is they did just way too much for an hour and 40. If you're going to create a world that big, you need a series. Like Lost, you need to be able to develop why there's so many different things going on. You can't spend an hour and 43 minutes telling the audience, here's all the things that are going on, and they're done. I mean, it leaves you unfulfilled. Like I said, there's some good kills in this. It has the same trope of horror movies today where it's too dark at times, and it takes you out of the scenes, especially the scene where she gets caught in the bear trap. It's so dark. I mean, we get it. It's jump scares. You don't have to make it so dark that we can't see what's going on. We're still going to jump. We're still going to be taken aback whenever the witch or whatever comes out of the woods. You don't have to make it so dark that we can't even see what's going on in the film. All that to say, it's not a terrible film. It's a good concept, just poorly executed, in my opinion.
I think the darkness part of it, and I gave that a pass because, you know, we've talked about this numerous occasions. Films are too fucking dark sometimes, right? So I played that up to it, the video game. The video game was probably incredibly dark too because it was supposed to be scary and build that suspense. You also touched on the witch. That was in my notes too. I skipped over somehow. That was so odd to me. The witch just being there, like it was so out of place, and she possessed the girl and she got info about how to survive from the witch, right? Like when she was possessed over or the agent. Either way, that stuff definitely didn't make sense. So
I have seen a lot of movies this year that I did not expect to like. And most of them I have. Most of the horror movies I've watched so far, I've really liked. Companion, The Monkey, Death of a Unicorn. A lot of the films this year I've gone into sort of, especially The Monkey, I went into it thinking, hey, it's a mixed, I've heard weird reviews, I've heard odd stuff about it. So I kind of went in with a different frame of mind and I really loved it. I did the same thing to this. I went in with a different frame of mind and I thought, okay, let's just take it for what it is. I hated it.
Damn it! I thought you were
Um,
going a different direction there for a second. I
I
was going to
fucking
be
hated it.
shocked.
Um, I'll
Yes,
say
welcome to the dark side.
I'm sorry. The heel turn has to happen. The first, the two things that I thought were good. The music I really did like. They kind of had like a Daft Punk type vibe to the music. It's like digital, so I like the score. I would even though I don't like the movie, I would probably buy the score if I found it for cheap. And I thought the kills were all really good. I thought the kills, the practical effects, it was cool. Like they did really good with that. There are some creepy moments, like the witch. I thought that was a creepy type thing to see, even though it was kind of odd. The first thing is, and I know a lot of horror movies are guilty of this. I know that I'm probably saying this, I'm somehow insulting movies I do like. Can we stop having Abercrombie models as cast members? These people look, if you take these group of kids, they look like they're about to go shoot a Target ad. Or like Urban Out. They literally look like you're going to walk in a Target. They're going to be jumping in the air with like popcorn in their hand. And it's going to be like on a banner of like five really different looking kids together who are like having a fun day.
With their legs up behind them, like they're jumping, like.
Oh God, I get it. They're actors. Actors are models. It's just like, oh my God, nobody. Friend groups do not look like that. That's not realistic. You might have a few attractive people, but it's just so unrealistic.
To your point, I'll give credit to the Scream movies. I didn't like the last two. I didn't like the last one specifically, but they at least had a diverse cast. Everybody wasn't just beautiful people.
Yes, exactly. And they kind of look more normal in that. Peter Stormare is a great actor. He was a great actor in the 90s. I think he's still a good actor. I think with these type of roles, it's like jump the shark for me with him because I just feel like they hire him because he's weird, because he's Peter Stormare. It's like he's got to come in and do his weird Russian whatever thing where he's playing that odd type character. And it's just like it's to the point now where when I see him in these type of things, I immediately just groan because I'm like, oh, here we go. It's like the weird villain odd guy, like they've got to do that with him. It's like a stereotype. And it's not his fault per se. It's just one of those things I noticed. The story is just strange. Okay, her sister goes missing. So her last known location was traced to a gas station, which somehow then leads down this road to this abandoned town. Okay. So you telling me that there's not a Barney Fife motherfucker on this planet that couldn't have figured out about this town already and went there and seen all this or known any of this? And then they get there and they go into a house they don't even own. They decide, oh, we're just going to stay the night in this big house that we don't own. We don't have the right to be here. Oh, by the way, this is a fun trip, but I guess it's going to turn into a dangerous situation now. It's just like, what in the hell? I really hope the game was better at setting all this up because this is like so incredibly, I wouldn't even say stupid. It's just silly. This whole movie is so fucking silly. The whole thing. If you go into this with your brain just shut off, like if you just go in and say, I'm just here for a popcorn movie, you're going to have fun. It's not boring. You could get through it. But if you in any way try to make sense of the writing, the direction, the act, any of it, you're just going to be, it's like going to blow your mind.
Yeah, that's why I feel like if they'd have gone the groundhog route, where if they just end up in this town and they wake up and wait, it's the same day,
Yeah.
or they die and they wake up, what's going on? Instead of it being, oh, we're in a little bubble that's not the only part that there's no rain.
Right. Yeah, I agree about the Groundhog Day thing. I wish they would have put I've got you, babe, every time the hourglass switched. The most unbelievable thing for me was the rotary. The when they're at the beginning, the girl uses the rotary phone, and then the other girl gets on the old radio. There's no way in hell a Gen Z kid would know how to do either of that. I am an electronics guy, and I wouldn't even know how to use that damn radio. I would see if I was in front of that radio, I would sit there for like 5 minutes going, okay, so okay, so that's how that, hold on, let me, like, there's no way. There's no way. I guarantee you the filmmakers, when they hired those actors, they probably told them that scene. I bet you anything they had to sit there and explain to them how that stuff works, how a rotary phone works. I would bet anything. Like, there's no way.
Everybody
also,
on this podcast has used a rotary phone, though, right?
yeah,
We've all used one.
Yeah, that's what we grew up with.
yeah. I
I used a hamburger phone, bro,
I remember those. Those
and
were
a
awesome.
Garfield one. I'm pretty sure I had a Garfield phone too, and wish I still did. I would have a landline if I still had a Garfield phone.
The water thing, I called immediately. That was so dumb because right when he was like, "Oh, the water works." Yeah, let's drink dirty ass water in the poison cursed house that you've already died in 3 times. That makes a lot of fucking sense. Let's do that. Like immediately, and they're like, "Oh, you want some water?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, how's it gonna kill him?" Like I immediately was like, what in the hell? Are we supposed to be surprised by this shit?"
You knew it was going to kill, but you didn't know that way, right?
No,
They
I didn't
weren't
know
that
way,
smart.
yeah.
They weren't that smart, but they knew the CB radio and and rotary
Well,
phone.
you got to chalk that up. I think I thought about that too. You honestly have to chalk that up to being in the moment. However many days they've been there, they haven't drank or eaten anything. At that point, you would fucking go to a dirty ass creek and shovel it into your mouth too. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you were definitely delirious, you may not think it through, but I think it's just, it's one of those things where I think as like an audience member watching it, you're just kind of like, oh my God, that's a terrible idea. But maybe if you're in that moment, who knows? That is true. You never know how people would actually react if they're actually were in a life death. The whole thing where it's showing the VHS tape, wasn't it so nice and convenient that he was able to edit together a nice transformation tape of that guy for them and dub over it audio and edit it like it was made modern day and present it like a nice, wasn't that so wonderful that he was
I'm just
able
going to be a
present
defender.
this
I'm
over
going to be a
that?
defender
Yeah.
of everything. So I thought I was like, why is this there also?
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, okay, he's studying, so he probably records everything. He makes notes, so it's like game tape. Like he's treating it like a sport. It was stupid. I'm going to give you that, but that was where my mind went on that VHS tape.
While he's watching the porn tape, he's editing the other VHS
Or he
tapes
made
Right.
that.
to condense
Well,
them together.
I was
He's
thinking,
only got
like,
so
why,
many tapes there.
why is there a porn tape? And then okay, well, there's been
Yeah.
other people here.
Yeah.
And if someone went there willingly, not looking for their dead sister, they would
Mhm.
probably get a little horny, So maybe he's got the cameras everywhere. He just kept that because he's lonely because there's no one in or around this town.
Mate, I mean, yeah, that's true. He probably did. I mean, that's nitpicky. I'm being, that's like, it's stupid, but that is nitpicky. They do that in horror movies, I guess, with, when they show something on a tape. I, it's like the whole Dr. Hill thing didn't make sense to me either. Why is he evil? Why is he doing this? Why did the town collapse? What happened to the people? Why did her sister decide to go to New York but say, "Oh, let me go down this random ass road to this dirty ass town and get locked in this curse"? Did a 14-year-old write this movie? What the fuck was that fucking ending? What in the fuck was that fucking ending? Like, Sony, when they made this, it's almost like they wanted to make a movie and they were just like, let's just get something out. Let's see what script you got. Okay, let's read. Yeah, it's fine. Just put it out. Let's just shell it out, make a first weekend budget. We can make a sequel. Like, I don't know why this made me so mad.
Full
I'm so
disclosure, I
forgiving.
have zero confidence in Sony as a film company anymore.
Yeah.
Well, they looked at everything that was going on in the world. It's like horror is so hot right now. How can we get a horror script? Oh, we
Right.
own the rights to this horror game? Cool.
Yeah, it's just the whole thing was so silly and illogical, and I wanted to like it because I feel like with newer movies lately, I've learned that if I just go in with my expectations tailored, I'm fine. Something about this just, I don't know why. It just really rubbed me the wrong way, so much of it. And like I said, I think if you go into this and you just don't, I think if you had this on in the background and you're watching it and you're not really paying attention to it and you're just kind of listening to it and you're seeing the kills and you're in the mood, I think it's fine. You could watch it. It's not like a big deal. It's one of those that could be on TV. But I think if you focus on it and you try to make sense of it, you're just, I mean, it's scary as a wet fart. Like the whole thing. And I say wet fart because there's parts where you're like, oh, that could be dangerous. Then it's like, well, no, never mind. It's not that scary. Like it's I don't know. I wanted to find something good in it, but ultimately, no, I didn't like it. And I can't believe this movie riled me up this bad. I don't know why. But
Well, I think
yeah.
you were on board until these kids mastered ancient technology.
Yep.
And we're just, fuck, what is going on?
Exactly.
From what you just said, that's when it went downhill for you.
Yep.
Also, I'm glad I
Yep.
went first because fuck, I don't want to follow either one of those. You guys know me well enough. I like bad things. I'm the easiest to please of the group. Also, who's not attractive in the last couple Scream movies?
I'm not saying not attractive. I'm just saying they're not like John said, Abercrombie models. Like they're more of a normal looking group of friends as opposed to, oh, we all just got off our shifts at the mall standing with our shirt off at the front door of Abercrombie.
Gotcha. Okay, that's fair. Yeah. I've been thinking about that ever since you said it. I'm like, I have to circle back to that. Like, who you thought was
even Haunt, even the cast of Haunt, it was a decent smattering of people. It wasn't just all gorgeous people.
Yeah, and everything you guys said is 100% right. And in my discussion, I acknowledge all those things clearly. My thing too is he ruined the experiment by working at the gas station, right? Like,
yeah,
his study is ruined because he manipulated the outcome.
Well, he was just convincing them to continue going so they could get trapped. You know, a lot of people have been lost up here. Oh,
I feel like that's splitting hairs.
Lost.
You don't want to go down that road.
And why? And that's another thing too. The only other
thing, real shame.
He obviously liked playing with them, like with his prey, because why else would you put the missing posters up everywhere? Why else would you put that well edited VHS tip that taught you everything you need to know about what was going on? Yeah, but yeah, you both you guys are 100% right. And again, like I compared to Hell of a Summer, I think we probably ended up giving Hell of a Summer 2.5 or a 3 overall. That sounds about right. But we all had the same general consensus. Like they didn't do anything different. This one tried to do something different, but failed. I liked several of the kills as well, but even though I enjoyed it, I understand completely what everybody's saying, and I agree with you too. But it's not going to change my rating because I'm going to have to stay a little bit higher from you guys because it's going to be scary. So I think originally I gave it a 3. Again, it's one of those things where I did kind of want to rewatch it, and you do pick up on things like this one. I picked up the water gurgling, like little things like that. But it's a hard movie to share, right? Like, hey, we want to watch a movie tonight? Let's watch this. And then I'm introducing John to it. I look over, I'm like, what'd you think? And he'd be like, what the fuck happened? Like, what is going on? Again, and like I said in the beginning, the rules, the lore, we needed a little bit more of that. Maybe it was in the game. If that's true, screw you, Sony, for assuming that we're playing the game when we're going to watch this movie. I went into this wanting an individual experience with this movie. That's what I got. It's kind of like Marvel tying all their television shows into the movies now. They're going to stop doing that because people are tired of it. So maybe in the game we got a little bit more. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll find out. But I gave it a 3. I kept my original score of a 3. I do enjoy watching it. I will watch it again. I will own it. The score was great. So yeah, I gave it a 3. Kellen?
Yeah, I think where the game probably improves upon this is it can devote more time to developing the story because games are what you unlock as you progress. This, they tried to unlock everything all at once because they give you such a small time frame, an hour and 43 minutes to talk about 13 days of murder, of them getting killed. So everything has to be condensed. Everything has to be made sense of right now. And there's just too much going on for that. It would have been better if they would have just taken and simplified the whole process. I will never watch this movie again unless somebody else is watching it and I happen to be stuck at their place. So, because it does have some good kills, because it is an interesting concept, I didn't hate it as much as Abigail, so I'm going to give it a 2.
That's better than I would have expected after what you said. So, John?
I didn't notice this, but in the movie, I was just reading about it. Apparently, in the game, Rami Malek was a game character, and there's a part of the movie where it shows his picture on the desk. And I know Hayden Panettiere was in the game, so I thought that was I saw that in the movie, and I was like, why is Rami Malek? Why is he in this? And I guess he's in the game. Even though I really didn't like it, I was not a fan. Like, it's not Strangers Chapter 1 level bad. It's not Wolfman level bad. It's nothing like that.
Mickey's Mousetrap.
Oh, it's definitely not that bad. So I would say, I mean, realistically, it's probably the worst 2.5 I'm ever going to get. 2.5. But it's still like that's just because it was such a silly story. But 2.5 out of 5.
Don't. Oh, I'm impressed with that. The writing was kind of awful most of the time, but I think the best writing was the check-in book where they wrote their name and how everybody's name deteriorated over time because that was what was happening to them. I like that, and I'm sure that was in the game too because it was clever. So they probably thought about it then, not the writers here. So that gives us a 2.5. Yeah, a poop party from 2 of the 3, but that's okay. All right, that's going to be it for this episode. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, to wherever you're listening to this podcast. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok. We have an Amazon Music playlist. We'll put some of the score on there. And come back next week for whatever the hell we're doing. Signing off, I'm Jay with John, Kellen. And until next time,
Keep it spooky.
And don't go down random roads looking for your sister.
I forgot that. All right, before we go, Kellen, tell John your Chucky story.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So,
Oh, yeah.
and I was texting my sister after I sent this because it was too funny and she was cracking me up. But so I got my buddy doll when I was like 5 or 6 from my crazy ass Uncle Derek. Not important to the story, but I just the length of time that I had it. I've had it since I was like 6. My sister's 6.5 years younger than me. So if you do the math, about the time she was old enough to know what Chucky was, she was about my age, six or so when I got it. So my buddy was my favorite toy for a better part of a decade. I mean, he was my wrestling buddy when I was real big into watching the WWE replays on Sunday morning, or WWF back in the day. And I would do suplexes with him. I would, elbow drops, DDTs. He was my ride or die.
That reminded me of the Always Sunny episode, making Dennis Reynolds a murderer. Has anyone seen that one? So if you saw Making a Murderer,
Yeah.
and the nephew they pick up,
Yeah.
and how he is after that. So Dennis is accused of killing Maureen, his wife, that just transitioned into a cat. She fell off a building. He's accused.
Oh, I do remember that episode.
Okay, so there's a part where they pick Charlie up, like the nephew, and they're like, "Did you have anything to do?" He's like, "No." And they're like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I just watching wrestling." And like he starts describing, he's like, "I put her in a chokehold, and then I did a DDT." And he goes like, "You saying all those wrestling moves? That's exactly where my head went."
Well, anyway, so he was like, even at like 12 years old, he was still like one of my favorite toys to have, because anytime like I was just like bored, I would just start wrestling with Chucky, my buddy. So my sister's about 6 or 7, somewhere in that, and she sees Chucky. She sees Child's Play for the first time, and it terrifies her that this doll could come to life. In her head, my buddy was Chucky. So my mom knew how important this doll was to me. So she was like, well, we'll just hide it from her, and then you can get it out when she's not around or whatever. And so we hid it in my closet, and my sister out of nowhere just comes in, just gonna come in my brother's room and go in the closet. Oh my God, it's Chucky! And she freaks out. She's screaming, crying, grabbing my mom's leg. Mom's like, okay, we'll find somewhere else. Put it in the hall closet where the entrance of her house comes. She never goes in there because she's scared of that anyway. We'll put it at the top. Lo and behold, my sister's like, let me go in this closet and see if my coat's in here. And she opens it, and Chucky's head's at the very top tilted. And she's like, oh my God, Chucky's trying to kill me. So my mom's like, buddy, you're getting older. It's a kid's toy. It's really, really, messing with your sister. She's having a hard time with it being in the house. Do you think we could get rid of it? Yeah, that's okay. I understand. If it'll make her feel better, we can get rid of my Chucky, my buddy doll. And so we had these 55-gallon burn barrels that my parents, when they were fixing up our house, would throw stuff in to burn.
For the bodies.
And so my mom,
For the bodies.
the bodies. So my mom was like, well, how about we do this? We'll start a fire. You can put my Chucky, my buddy doll in there. And your sister can stand on the back porch, and she can watch, and she can see that Chucky's gone. There's no more Chucky in the house. I'm like, okay, Yeah, that'll be fair. So they get the fire going. My sister's standing by the back door. My mom's holding her. I walk over with my buddy doll, tell him my buys. I miss you, buddy. I put him in the fire. I walk back over. Apparently, while he was melting, his head shrunk and then swelled and exploded and shot fire and embers up into the air. And my sister lost her shit. She said, "He's trying to kill me again."
Damn.
And to this day, so I took that picture at Walmart and I was like, "Hey, I got an idea for a birthday present for me this year." She's like, "What is it?" And I sent it to her and she sent back a gift that said, "Oh, hell no." So she's still traumatized from the burning embers of my buddy doll that still tried to kill her.
Wow. Holy shit, man.
I would have fought them. I'm like, I ain't burning him. Hell no. You caved too easy.